it was a moment that more just like kind of pissed me off more than anything. That was that was probably before I was fully out. Uh, but I could feel the like weirdness of it and just like, why does this matter?
Today on Rainbow Country, cruising in Gomorrah, a new gay short film from award-winning filmmaker Coby Friesen.
Hi, I'm Christopher Rice, and this is Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Coby Friesen, hi, how are you?
Good. I'm well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, you are more than welcome. I have to say thank you for being here, especially to talk about your latest film. It's a short film. It's a short gay film. Oh, wait, it's a short gay horror film called Cruising in Gomorrah. Love the
Yeah.
title. Very enjoyable. First of all, let's start from the ground and build up the story that you're telling in Cruising in Gomorrah, your short gay horror film. What's the story?
Yeah, so it's about two friends who have sort of drifted apart and decide to go on a camping trip together. And once they get there, it's, kind of nice for a little bit, but the tensions start to mount. The differences that they have as adults start to appear, and a stranger arrives and sort of creates chaos between the two of them.
So you write this short, you direct this short. The story that you're telling, what inspired this particular story? What's the genesis?
Yeah, so honestly, it didn't start with anything too revelatory. I was at a beach one day, and I there wasn't a lot of people there, but it was a nice beach, and I don't know, I just had this like feeling.
That
This
what, you
feel-
were being watched?
well, maybe. No, probably not that, but just this feeling. This I had this image in my mind of being on this beach and the images of the film potentially, and then this feeling of dread that sort of accompanied that, and that's all I had to go on to begin with. And then as I started to like think about the story could be, something about gays at a beach or something. I don't know. Maybe there's some cruising involved, but I hadn't come up with the full story yet. But basically, I was telling this idea to a friend of mine, and somehow we got onto the topic of something that had happened to me, which there's an incident that happens in the film that is basically um, a moment where one friend asks if he can put sunscreen onto his back from by his friend, and he's denied, and it's an awkward moment, um, and that's something that actually happened to me, and it's not something that I'm like. It was a moment that more just like kind of pissed me off more than anything. That was probably before I was fully out. Uh, but I could feel the like weirdness of it and just like, why does this matter? Why does this matter that like, and it wasn't like I was trying to seduce him or anything. It was just,
So you were asking your friend to put sunscreen on your back.
yeah, yeah. We
Okay.
were we were at we were on a trip together, and we were at some sort of like water location, sort of beach thing, and he didn't do that, or he refused to, and it was just sort of this awkward moment, and I was like,
And
wow,
you're like, I can't reach my middle back. Like, come
yeah,
on.
it's really
Help a
hard.
girl out.
So yeah, I that story, my friend was sort of like, what if that was part of what was that? That was part of like the conflict that happened, and I thought that'd be a good short film conflict, because you can only do so much in short film. So like little moments like that are good. But as I started to write the thing, um, that was definitely one of the smaller moments that I mean, things really start to escalate after that moment. So, and it's horror, so you can expect blood, guts, and gore.
Expect the unexpected.
Yes, exactly.
How long did it take you to fully write the film and film it and all that sort of stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wrote it a few summers ago, the first draft, which is crazier. It was probably, I mean, it was very much a first draft. It was very raw, and I went, as big as possible. And then, showed it to a few friends, and they helped me dial it back, or rather just like find the the things that were working and the things that weren't. And yeah, it probably wasn't until a year later, I think, that I I applied for the RBC pitch competition for the film and ended up winning. And then, yeah, and then when I won, I spent a year, like you have a year to make the film, basically, for that competition, because the part of the stipulation of that competition is that um, you show the film at the same event a year later. So, all in all, probably 3 years from idea
Mm.
to the finished product.
Okay, so the winner of the 13th annual, you were just mentioning it, RBC $10,000 Emerging Filmmaker Pitch Competition. The
Hmm.
winner is you. You won it, I believe, at the 2024 Gimli International Film Festival.
Yeah.
What, when hearing your name called or receiving an email or just knowing that you won this competition, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it was just the biggest affirmation. I think I had spent, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years kind of actively trying to make things. I had made one other short before that, so that was a good step forward with that. But um, to especially with something like this, winning it is so lovely because you're given so many resources to make the thing that you want to make. $10,000 is a good chunk of money. It's not, it can disappear pretty fast. And with all the stuff that we had going for our film, it certainly did. But I had a really smart producer on board with me who, you know, helped me made some really good calls about how we wanted to spend that money. Um, and but yeah, it just opens doors basically to being able to make a film at a certain standard, a higher standard, and be able to work with collaborators who, you know, previously I probably wouldn't have been able to. So it really allows you to up your game, which is pretty exciting.
So, Cruising in Gomorrah, this is a short film. Is it a one and done? Is it a proof of it? Or do you hope to make it into a feature? What are their plans?
Um, yeah, I mean, actually, I think to be honest, the first idea I had for it was as a feature, and then I sort of was like, well, at this point, I probably can only make a short. Um, so I decided to focus on that, and so I think there is probably a feature brewing that I could do that would maybe be the prequel or the sequel to this moment in this film. I'm not sure exactly, but I have some ideas, and if the right people come along, and the right amount of money and all that sort of stuff comes along, then I would be totally down to make it.
So, in the credits, you thank God.
Yeah.
Talk to me about God's involvement in Cruising in Gomorrah. What
I
did God
love that
do?
you noticed that. I'm not sure who, I think you're the first person to notice that. Or who has told me about noticing it. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I'm not like a practicing um, Christian, or I'm not involved in religion really at all at this point in my life. So I guess there's sort of, it's an ironic thank you, but also a genuine at the same time, because I wouldn't have been able to create this had I not had the upbringing I did with religion. So it's sort of a callback to where I came from, and
And what is that upbringing?
yeah, I mean, I certainly was surrounded by religion, by Christianity, particularly Mennonite, Mennonite sect, and my family wasn't super religious, but we did go to church growing up pretty consistently, and um, yeah, I was always. I think our family was always questioning things and was never taking it at full value.
Did you ever go
So,
to Sunday school?
oh yeah, definitely. Some good memories there, some not great memories there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, there's lots of good stuff about religion. I love the community aspect. I love, an attempt to connect to some sort of divineness or spirituality. I think there's lots of things that are lovely about it.
So
But
today, on your spiritual journey, so to speak, where do you find yourself today, currently?
that's a good question. I think, yeah, I believe in something bigger for sure. I mean, I don't. I guess like a good placeholder is sort of the universe in a sense, but even that word has begun to feel a bit tainted. I don't know. There's just like stuff around that too that feels weird. So I I for sure think that there's something going on that we don't know. Oh, there's tons that we don't know, but um, and I think connecting to that um, is maybe something that I do by writing, and just like the ideas that are coming to me for things to write, or maybe meditation is another way to do that as well. But yeah, I'd say it's integrated, but not something I'm like thinking about a
Hmm.
ton anymore.
And the title, the cruising in Gomorrah,
Hmm.
is there has to be a story behind this particular title.
Totally. Yeah. Well, Gomorrah, I mean, that is
Sodom
reference
and Gomorrah.
exactly. Yeah. So you know something about that, it sounds like. Um, but I guess I
It
don't
was like a
know. I guess,
hedonistic city or something where
yeah, basically like a
everything
hedonistic
went
city,
down,
and where all the bad stuff happens that God doesn't approve of.
like the gay
Uh,
village.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. So and then cruising, um, you know, is a historically queer practice, and that was something that I wanted to engage with creatively. I thought that was an interest that just there was interesting stuff to do with that, and to place those two things together just kind of felt natural for my perspective, where I'm coming from, where I've come from, and where I've gone, and where I'm going.
But in particular, the use of the word Gomorrah, like coming to that particular destination,
Mm.
was that something that just came to you right away, or was that like a process?
Um,
I mean, the cruising aspect I can get, but
yeah,
specifically the Gomorrah.
yeah. I mean, I played around with it being Sodom too,
Hmm.
Sodom and Gomorrah. Um, and there was at some point there was something about like it sounds like you've seen the film. Um the like Creek Demon character, that character to me felt biblical to me, like it's something you would find in the Bible somewhere, like the snake or some sort of like gorgon or devil. Um, so I think when I tapped into that idea of that character, I started to think more biblically and maybe started seeking out like what could this place be called? Like,
Mm.
and then I thought, well,
Because you
okay,
do have a sign in the film, like
yeah,
that they're going to.
hmm yeah,
So
exactly. So it
yeah,
is important, yeah, and yeah, I mean, I did read the story a few times, and I think what makes it kind of extra important, other than the fact that it's this like yeah town that is very full of nasty things happening, is that it's often used as the story to denounce um, homosexuality because there's a moment where I believe um, Lot is barricaded in his house, and there's like angels at the door that he's supposed to be letting in who could be raped by the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. And so he offers the people of Gomorrah are like, oh, you know, we want to rape these angels that look like men. And Lot is like, no, don't rape them, but you can have my daughters. That's literally his counter offer, which is pretty disgusting. But I think the part about like people being gang raped, men being gang raped, is kind of a lot of where some people would go to denounce homosexuality in the Bible. So it felt like a nice kind of reclamation of that story a little bit of like, no, it's fine. I'm gonna tell you it's fine.
so Coby Friesen, you are an award-winning filmmaker. We were just talking about your latest film, a short film, Cruising in Gomorrah. Your debut film is an award-winning short called Hookup, where you won the top emerging director at the Real Pride Film Festival in Winnipeg. Both your films are queer films, LGBT films. Why is that a priority for you? Or is it a priority for you to use your talents, to use your voice, to use your lived experience to tell queer stories? Is that a priority to you? And if so, why?
Yeah, no, for sure it is. I think the more I've delved into writing in general, um, the more I've tried to just lean into the personal stuff. And I think that just makes writing easier just because you're bringing your own perspective, you're bringing something that you're bringing a truth that to share with people. And so I think both of those projects um, are inherently queer, and yeah, I think regardless of what I make, anything I make probably will have something. I don't know if everything I make what like will be that'll be the focus, but there will always be I think a queerness to whatever I do just because I am.
And
Um,
so therefore, do you think that the art that you're creating, whether it's writing, whether it's filmmaking, what have you, do you think that you're telling your creations that you're creating, do you think that you're doing that through a queer lens?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't, yeah, I don't pretend to, represent all queer people. So it is very much my perspective, my queer perspective, um, which will be obviously different than other queer perspectives. But yeah, of course. Yeah, I think there's always going to be that queer lens. And I think that's just something I'm naturally interested in and have become more interested in. Like queer history is something that I think um, I've gotten to be more and more interested in just because it is kind of this alternative, sidelined, forgotten history that there's not a lot of information on. So I think going back to those stories is really interesting to me and really meaningful to me. Um, so yeah, I think right now that's kind of where I'm at. I definitely want to continue to do that.
I've interviewed a number of gay filmmakers, lesbian filmmakers, Academy Award winning gay filmmakers. Uh, and some of them have expressed to me that through their career in telling specifically uh, LGBT stories, that they have received pushback. Don't make this so gay. Don't do they have to be lesbian? Whatever the situation is. For yourself, maybe you've experienced that as of yet, or maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But is that something that concerns you in regards to telling a story, an LGBT story, and being authentic to it, with the possibility of, people that like funding bodies and people at funding bodies where you're going to get the money to make these films and tell these stories, that in the back of your mind, you may receive some sort of pushback at some point. Does that concern you at all?
um, at this point, it doesn't, just because I feel like um, that those things are what have helped these movies even been made. Like, I think there's a power to stories being told that maybe haven't been told before, or are newer stories. Um, so at this point, I haven't really received any pushback, um, but I'm sure I will at some point. Um, and, you know, maybe because so far it's been pretty good, maybe there's some strength building there, and just coming into my own confidence as a queer filmmaker. So hopefully that can kind of carry me through any storms that may um, come in the future. Um, because honestly, yeah, cruising in Gomorrah, there was an internal struggle happening actually with that film that I didn't expect. I mean, I wrote this script and thought, it was fun and got to work into the horror genre, and it was just a fun little thing in my mind. But and then put onto page. But then when I won the competition, it was like, oh, okay, now I have to make this. And there are scenes in there that are quite vulnerable, that I think through the whole year of making that movie, um, there were moments of doubt, and just like, can I get away with this? Are people gonna accept this? Is it gonna be too much for some people? I knew that there would be a crowd that would love it, like queer horror fans. I knew they would love it. I had no fear about that. But everybody else. And so it was a lot of back and forth throughout the year. internally, and me having conversations with my team, family members, people who have seen the film now too, um, about whether this is too much, and it's just honestly, it's just old shame that's been buried inside of me, and I think the process of making the film was this interesting excavation of that shame, which I didn't expect. I wasn't planning to make something about that, or to feel that from the process of making it. But that's what happened, and so when I finally did show the film, um, and did not receive any pushback, it was very there was a huge relief, and I think now gives me a lot more confidence going forward that, like, oh, okay, like, continue what you're doing, Coby. Like, there's no, yeah, sure, maybe one day you will come up with some pushback with what you're making, but this is art. Like, you have to stay true to your vision. This is what you wanted to make, so commit. And I did, and so far so good.
This was shot in Winnipeg,
It was, yeah.
and you're based in Winnipeg.
Hmm.
Uh Another creative, Jonathan Lawrence, is also
Yeah.
from Winnipeg, and he's in your film.
Hmm.
How do you guys know each other?
We don't know each other super well. I did know of him
Because
probably a few.
he's been on Rainbow Country before talking about uh, his series Altar Boys.
Right.
So how did you just reach out to him? Did you audition him? Like, how did he end up being one of the stars in Cruising in Gomorrah?
Yeah, I mean, but it basically came down to the casting call
Mm.
that we had, which there it was a good we got a good amount of people auditioning for it, and some really good options. But the real for this particular movie, it was really about finding the right pair. And I think when we saw Ben and Jonathan together, um, we thought, that's it. These are the people that we need to meet these roles. So yeah, in seeing Jonathan's audition, we definitely knew we wanted to have him come for a callback, and in the callback, yeah, he was just incredibly easy to work with, and um, could see him right away as the character. So I didn't really know him beforehand. No, I knew of him,
Mm.
but I didn't. Yeah, this was my first time working with him.
How did you get into film originally? How did this all come about for you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just such a it's definitely been a long road. I was I went to theater school, and I was at a theater school in Vancouver. Dropped out actually, because it was just not the right school for me. And when I came back, was sort of a little bit heartbroken about, I feel like, my dreams being sort of crushed by this school, or it felt like that was what was happening. Um, but then as I was yeah, it was one of those experiences that, like, both crushes you, and you also feel somewhat reborn afterwards. So when I got back to Winnipeg, I feel like I had turned a new creative leaf, and I'd sort of thought, like, oh, like, maybe acting isn't the only thing that I can focus on. And I started writing things. I started doing some YouTube videos, some comedy YouTube videos. I even did a couple of open mics for stand-up comedy that were interesting experiences. Um, but yeah, and then even just, people that I worked with, around that time were in the film industry. So I started to hear about this film industry that exists in Winnipeg, and I didn't really know anything about it before then. And it was a lot of just like dipping my toes in and looking at all the different avenues that you can get involved, whether it's, you know, a mentorship program or the 48-hour film competition, um, and then, or even just working on sets. All these things kind of were stepping stones and ways for me to sort of learn the industry and meet so many people. And that's also half the battle is networking. As cliche as it is, it's so important to the process, because especially with film, um, it's kind of impossible to do alone. So the more, collaborators you can find and people that you enjoy working with, the easier it is. So
So Coby, here's my last question for you, and it's simply this: what do you hope audiences come away with when they've experienced, whether it's one of your writings, one of your films, one of your future works? What is it that you hope audiences come away with after they've experienced Coby Friesen?
have they experienced me or cruising
Yes, and the things that you create.
in? I think I hope that I've provoked thought. I hope that I've entertained. I hope that, people continue to think about what I've put out, and yeah, if it doesn't resonate with them, that's fine too. Like not everything I do has to resonate with people. But yeah, I want something that hopefully speaks to something inside of someone and maybe helps them feel seen or but also just have a good time. Like I love movies, and a lot of that is because I just think it's one of the most entertaining things to do. But also twinned with that is how it can make you feel and how it can provoke thought. I think those
Mm.
three things: entertainment, feeling, and thinking. Those are, I would say, the three
Well said, well said.
things.
Coby Friesen, well said, well done, well filmed, well made. Cruising in Gomorrah, who knew? Very entertaining. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, of course.